least we are going to get underway. And it's one of those days the forecast doesn't seem quite to know what to make of it. Unlike tomorrow, when I think they're fairly unanimous that we are going to get some heavy rain overnight and into tomorrow morning. Northamptonshire's point of view, talking to obviously a number of the players last night and coaches, I think the feeling is try and get the next batting point at 400 if possible. I think if they feel they can get north of 400, particularly, we talked about this yesterday, with a bit of time likely to be out of the game, they will just basically say, okay, we'll try and get 420, 430.
The Australian, and he is 5 not out. Scott.
For 6, having lost the wickets yesterday of, I was going to say lost for 30, gave for 88, Proctor for 6. Running in towards us, bowling to Tremaine, who's pushing forward out into the big gap at mid-wicket, and he comes through for a single. 6 to Tremaine, 3:39 for 6. Morning to Chris Tremaine's Uncle Mark, if he's listening in Sydney, as he very often is. And I'll say it before Mark does, that Chris Tremaine does have a first-class 100. Only one. But Mark will always remind us of that. Here's Curry in again, bowls to Bartlett, and again the big gap through mid-wicket. He works it into it, but there is a...
So both Bartlett and Tremaine have been able to push singles into the leg side.
Push a single at will. Here's Curry in again, bowls, and this time again. But it's another single. Takes Tremaine to 7, Northamptonshire to 341. So you have 3. Extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, and then switch.
They're over. Tom Scriven, the great Danish father, of course. We were talking about that yesterday. He's sort of hoping vaguely to interest Denmark.
The old Cheltenham and Gloucester Trophy back in about 20 years ago. They had issues because Charles Peterson was playing them, South African, had to go and apply, had to go down to the Danish embassy and get a visa. And Kepler Wessels couldn't get in the country, so he didn't travel.
Wessels was an expert on getting passports that he didn't necessarily deserve. Tom Scriven is in from the pavilion end, bowls out, swing out, doesn't really swing too much. Slightly angled run is in. Calls and coach turns, kicks up his heels.
Northamptonshire.
Too little bit of shape to the delivery, blocked by Bartlett.
and this could be an interesting contest.
Could be very. You suspect one way or the other it might be fairly brief.
Yes, well, field spread out for Tremaine, obviously, with the positivity he's been showing. We've got a cow corner, a long on, a long off, and a deep cover as Rahan Ahmed's in, back of a length. Tremaine whips out away. He's timed it very, very well to beat mid-wicket as Curry runs in from cow corner to throw the ball in. One bounce to Cox. I suspect Rahan Ahmed may just play about with a few floaty ones and a few flatter ones to Tremaine and see how much he really is going to go after him. But we are back to Bartlett now. Rahan coming in. It's wide outside off, and Bartlett just missing out a little bit. Maybe again that freedom we were talking about. Maybe a shot we wouldn't have seen yesterday in the tough patches. But
absolutely,
I think freedom in himself, and also the freedom that Tremaine has offered him from the other end. Rahan in. And it's a full ball, jammed out to point, collected by Rishi Patel. Rahan bowling very, very well yesterday. It's his figures are reading currently 1 for 35 off 17 and a half as he comes in for that fourth ball of this over. And it's a similar length, slightly straighter, but Bartlett steps back and whips that out to deep cover. Salisbury the man. And yeah, a lot of control shown by Rahan Ahmed yesterday.
It was very impressive. But you say on the surface that was basically giving him nothing, or very little. And to go at 2 and over was, I thought, very, very impressive bowling.
Yeah, it bowled very well. In again. And it's slightly full. Back goes Tremaine, and certainly looking to get that through the offside, but doesn't get all of it, and it just rolls to Tom Scriven at extra cover, who gives the ball a good seeing to, shining it on his jumper. Throws it back to Rahan, who comes in for the last ball of his first over of the day. And it's fuller. Tremaine swiping out to cow corner, where Scott Curry catches it. And Rahan has his second wicket of the innings. And as we said, it was always going to be interesting. Any balls that were up in the eye line were certainly going to get the hands thrown at them. And Tremaine, unfortunate, but batted very well for his 37.
Yes, you suspected it wasn't going to, one way or another, it wasn't going to last very long, and indeed it didn't. So, well, it's a feather in the cap, I think, of Lewis Hill, who's got that absolutely right in terms of the bowling change. But applause for Chris Tremaine as he comes off, 37 off 44 balls with a 6 and 6 fours, doing just the job that John Sadler and his captain Luke Proctor would have been looking for. Drink comes out for George Bartlett. That, I think, was the end of the over. It was. So I will make way for Richard Ray to come back and join Roman.
Yeah, so as we see there, the wicket falling for Northants. That's 7 down now, 403, 4-7. Tremaine going for 37 off 44. Looked very comfortable this morning. The last couple of overs really opening up his stance and trying to throw his hands at the ball. A potential thought of full batting points in the back of his mind, as they're still 47 short with 4 overs to get that full batting point. And with 3 wickets remaining, potentially worth it, potentially not. Arguments for both sides. As our new batsman, Lewis McManus, joins us, the ex-Hampshire keeper and now Northants keeper batter. And from what I've seen so far, he's been quite impressive at Northants. He's certainly staking his claim, if that is if that's the words I'm looking for, Richard.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many of the current Leicestershire side were playing in the side in which Mr. McManus perpetrated his evil deed for Hampshire a couple of seasons ago.
It certainly went viral, I think.
But yeah, indeed, we must try and forgive and forget.
Well, it happens, doesn't it? I mean, there's worse things to do on a cricket field, and absolutely.
Okay. I've never seen it.
He's
in
not
club
thrown a
cricket,
bat at anyone,
like
has he?
that. No, he hasn't inflicted any physical pain, but I've never seen anything like that in club cricket. You know, played thousands of games.
Yeah, no, it was definitely the first time I'd seen something like that at this level of cricket, for sure. I think I've seen it a couple of times with run-outs from bowlers' ends and stuff, balls being dropped and hands hitting the stumps and being given out, or the ball being like it was for McManus in the opposite hand and taking the bails off with the other hand.
Matt Salisbury is replacing Scott Curry at the Bennett end. Comes down the slope and bowls, and Bartlett slightly twitchily works it away from just outside off stump out towards deep-ish gully. Pete Hanscom goes in pursuit, picks up, and Bartlett happy to take his one because McManus obviously a competent lower order batsman. So 3.5 overs for Leicestershire to take the 2 wickets that they need for maximum bowling point return. I don't think McManus and Bartlett will be going for the 46 runs they need from that in that time to get the maximum batting point return. In goes Salisbury and bowls. Foolish. McManus waits for it, guides it out, shakes his right hand. It came off the bottom of the bat, pushed it out to Tom Scriven in the covers.
Yeah, I think full batting points is just out of reach for Northants. I think if it was maybe 3 or 4 more overs on offer, they would certainly have a flirt with it. But with now only 3.4 overs to get them, what is it now, 46 runs, I think it's just too far with a new batter at the crease as well.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Salisbury is in and bowls very straight. McManus covers up on off stump, plays it back down the pitch towards Matt Salisbury. No run, floodlights on of course, and to be quite honest I think they'll stay on all day, although the light actually is not too bad. It was quite dark at about 11:15, but it is not too bad now.
Yeah, it's improved
Players,
a great amount, as I think the rain clouds have just passed. There's any sort of rain clouds moving up to the north, I think.
Salisbury in, looking for the full delivery. May just have held it back a bit, perhaps the slower ball. And it was a pretty good one actually. It was jammed out back to him by McManus, who was again examining the bottom of his bat and shaking his right hand off. Whether Matt Salisbury was trying the Scott Curry slower ball. The one that accounted for Di Lloyd at Derby last week.
I like that, Di Lloyd. On the lingo, Richard.
Yeah, that's right, he referred to himself as indeed. In goes Salisbury bowls, pushed firmly by McManus, out towards mid-off, goes through Marcus Harris, who is going to have to turn and pursue it back. They should pick up 3 as a consequence, so 1 turned in, 2, 3. Harris lost his footing earlier as well, didn't he, when he was diving to his right. And doesn't look like a very happy man out there, Marcus, at the moment. He's got very cold hands.
Yeah, I think we saw earlier Tremaine slapping one straight, and Marcus slipped whilst he tried to push off and field the ball. I think it just goes to show the moisture that still is underfoot from the last few weeks of almost torrential rain, and possibly 6 months of torrential rain, Richard.
Indeed. Salisbury is in, hit back over mid-off. I think it went the distance. No, it didn't. Dropped just short of the long off boundary. Harris just turns, jogs back to pick it up. Well, Bartlett hasn't given up all hope of that 5th batting bonus point. 411 for 7 off 107, so 3 overs in which to score 39 runs. It's certainly a possibility for Leicestershire to take 2 more wickets. Leicestershire, I suspect, on that basis, will be quite pleased Bartlett's still going for his shots, because they've still got a chance of picking up those 2 wickets on that basis.
Yeah, and the Northants dressing room potentially, as I said when Lewis McManus came to the crease, there's an argument for both of going for the extra batting point and also sort of shutting up shop and conceding that batting point, because as we see there's only 3 wickets left, so how much of an advantage sticking in and getting, I don't know, maybe another 60 or 70 runs is compared to maybe getting that extra batting point and bowling as early as possible on what looks to be a decent day for bowling, with clouds overhead and lights on, and it's a little bit cold. And obviously with such a good bowling attack that Northants have brought to Grace Road, they certainly back themselves under these conditions as Rahan Ahmed continues. And it looked to be a googly, that one, on a good length. McManus staying in his crease, defending that one, watching it carefully.
Have you batted against Rahan in the nets? I mean, can you pick his googly?
Yeah, I whack him everywhere. Yeah, he hates bowling to me.
Okay.
As Rahan comes in, and it's a paddle sweep. It's slightly more than a paddle sweep. He's helped it on its way, McManus, but it's a very, very good shot. Not quite a sweep, not quite a paddle sweep, but he's played it very well and given that's only his second ball he's faced Rahan, that could be something that we're going to see quite a lot. It could be his game plan against spin, and especially Rahan, where he may not know which way it's turning, as we know how skillful he is.
Greetings to listeners and watchers on the stream. I think we had a few problems with sound on the stream, but I understand all is up and running now. Apologies for the delay.
McManus taking his time here to face up. Everybody else looks ready. I don't think there's a delay in the field or anything, and as Rahan does continue now, and it's fuller this time, almost Yorker length. McManus again looking at the bottom of his bat. So Harris, as we see there, shouting off to the 12th man, Sol Budinger, for a swap at the end of the over. Rahan in again. It's slightly shorter this time and tucked away into the leg side by McManus. He's looking for 2. Bartlett is certainly not looking for 2. The form he's in at the moment, he's going to want to face as many balls as possible.
I was wondering whether it's genuinely cold enough for players like Harris to get a little warming up break, if anything.
Well, it certainly can't be easy for these lads who are coming in from the hotter climates. Well, that's swept away. Sorry, we've got a little bit of a change up in the commentary box here, but that's been swept away by Bartlett for 6. As Richard, do you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah, we'll do some swapping around because some cricketing royalty, I'm delighted to say, has just come into the BBC Radio Leicester commentary box, and it's a marvellous effort to get up those stairs. I'm going to take those off. And the aforementioned cricketing royalty is a gentleman by the name, when he was at Leicester, of Andy Roberts, now Sir Andy Roberts. Sir, you're very, very welcome. Thank you for making the effort to come up to the box. Welcome back to Grace Road. I'm sure that's been said to you already on a number of occasions.
Well, I must say, it's a warm welcome on a cold day.
Cold is the right word, as Rahan Ahmed bowls and is played out into the offside by George Bartlett for a single. Had you been back to Grace Road, sir, before this particular visit?
No, it's almost 30 years now since I've been here. And a lot has changed with the interior, but I see that the field, except for the lights, everything remains the same.
Familiar. And what have you made of what you've seen, sir, in terms of the quality and the standard?
The quality of this inside is good. Outside, you still remain in a cold, windy, stance.
Is that familiar from your time here? Were you cold? Was it often cold for you?
Often cold. I've had some good days, but I see the indoor school has changed from where it was before. And it's now on the north or south.
That is south.
On the southern side. Yeah.
Do you have?
I've never been inside, but so I don't know what it's like.
Do you have happy memories of your time at Leicester?
Oh yes, I enjoy the time that I've spent here. We had some great players coming out of here. David Gower. At the time there was, in terms of county cricket, there was Brian Davison, and there was a youngster who I called Spider-Man, who I hope to see today.
Spider-Man? Yeah. I'm thinking Alan Mullally, someone like that.
Oh, no, he wasn't here at the time. Spider-Man. I actually worked for you, for BBC for a number of years.
Mr. Agnew?
Mr. Agnew.
There we go.
Yeah. Who I think could have played a lot more Test cricket than he did if he was encouraged to bowl for us.
You just missed one blow from George Bartlett, who's just hit Matt Salisbury down to the long on boundary. You took 141 first-class wickets when you were here, so in just 3 years at not much more than 20 a time. So you were very successful in your time here. And as you say, it was a strong Leicestershire side at that time.
I didn't play much on the weekends. I used to play. Go in the leagues to play on weekends. So most of my first 2 years was spent, playing in the weekdays.
Salisbury bowls to Bartlett, who ducks into a bouncer. If you ducked into an Andy Roberts bouncer, I think you would have known all about it.
Well, at this time, where I am now, you need not ducking.
How much have you been able to keep in touch at all with county cricket? What do you make of the standard, sir, now?
Well, with T20s, I see that there's not much wickets taken, especially this time of the year. I think England has gone to make the worst decisions in order to use Kookaburra balls to play. Kookaburra is not bowling friendly; it's more of a batting friendly type of ball.
They were Duke's balls when you were bowling here.
Dukes, Twat, and Stuart Surridge. They had readers. You know, those are balls with seam, and a ball with seam helps the fast bowlers, and it also helps the spinners.
But you had to bowl an awful lot of overs. The workload on you was very high, wasn't it? You played a lot of cricket.
Yes, I did. I may not have played a lot of first-class cricket in comparison to some of the others, but I bowled a lot of deliveries, and that was the hard part of it.
The hard part?
The hard part, but I enjoy it. The only way you can learn is by doing what you want to do.
Would you say that bowlers in modern cricket don't bowl enough then, possibly, or is it too much time in the gym or in the nets and not enough time in the middle? Or?
Well, I've never been in the gym except to walk through. Yeah, but everybody now is, bulk up, which is not good for fast bowling. It may be good for spinners, it may be good for medium pacers, but for fast bowlers, you need to have the strength in your legs.
Was that true of your fellow fast bowlers of that great West Indian side of that time, likes of Sir Michael Holding and all those guys, Curtly Ambrose?
What we did, we do a lot of running. We used to run upstairs in order to train and not in the gym, pushing weights. I used to run a lot in water. I used to swim a lot, and I used to run on the sand and run up hills, run upstairs.
I was going to say, I guess you did your swimming in the Caribbean rather than here.
I've never been in a pool here, except years later, I had double knee surgery, and I went in the pool for about 7 days. That's the only time I've been in a pool in England.
436 for 7. George Bartlett has moved on to 125. Lewis Magnus has moved on to 12, just 14 short now of that 5th batting bonus point. Northamptonshire were the last side you played against for Leicestershire in the quarter-final of a one-day cup at Wantage Road. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
You do?
No,
you don't?
No, I don't. I guess we lost.
I'm afraid you did. Maybe that's your last game.
Maybe that's why I don't remember.
But I was just looking at the side, the Leicestershire side that played that day. Chris Balderstone opened. You remember Chris, as in goes Salisbury bowls to McManus, who steps away and drives out to mid-off, where Harris makes this. Well, Lewis Hill, I think, makes a stop, and it is just a single. But you remember all those gentlemen from that time?
Yes, I remember Chris, the late Balderstone. Ian Butcher is someone I've been in contact with over the years, as late as maybe early this year or last year. I've been in contact with him. David, who can forget him? Peter Willey, that's Stan. Nigel Byrne, Briars now.
Briars, yeah.
Is he around?
Don't think he is. No, I don't think he is.
Tim Boone, Mike Garnham, wicketkeeper, the late Paddy Cliff, and someone named by the name of Roberts.
I don't know what happened to him.
And Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man. Yeah. They were good friends as well as a good cricket side.
Yes, I still have some good friends. Yeah. And Gordon Parsons, who's in South Africa now, I speak to him from time to time. So I still keep in touch with a lot of these Leicester guys.
Rehan Ahmed is swept to the long leg boundary for 4 more by Lewis McManus. So they are closing in on the 450 now, Northamptonshire. Whether they will declare at that stage, I have my doubts, to be quite honest. Would you like to see more of the younger West Indies bowlers spend time in county cricket? Do you think it would benefit them these days, or not as much?
Well, the game is not the same anymore.
No, it
and
isn't.
the interest in the longer version of the game is not there. And I think that if you can bowl, if you learn to bowl and bowl properly, it should encourage you to play the shorter game. If you have the craft, whether you're playing T20, Test cricket, you still should be able to play a meaningful contribution. And bowling 4 overs in a game, I would have loved that instead of bowling 44.
Yes, absolutely. Even with a white ball.
What's the difference between the balls? I hear people saying that white ball and red ball. It is the same ball, the same weight. Everything is the same.
I don't think it swings really very much after about 1 over.
Yeah, but there are many balls that doesn't swing.
Yeah.
Many bowlers who can't swing a ball, and there are many bowlers who swings the white ball because they learn to swing the ball.
The skills that they tell me are different now in terms of taking pace off the ball or varying your lengths or back of the hand.
Taking pace off the ball has never been new to me because throughout my career, that's what I did. If you listen to the batsmen of the past, they will say that the hardest thing about facing Andy Roberts is the deception, the variation of pace. So it is nothing new. That's something that started in the 70s and 80s. It's new to some people, but to me that's not new.
You were famous for the difference in pace in your bouncers, that occasionally you'd bowl slightly slower bouncer and then a very quick bouncer.
What's that? What do you call that?
A bouncer.
No, you call it variation.
Oh, I see, sorry.
So what is variation? It's
Yes.
not only slow ball. Variation is bowling faster deliveries, slower deliveries, in between deliveries. So it's nothing new.
And the batsmen obviously didn't have, or they began to have helmets in your day, didn't they?
Yeah,
they
it
were
started
introduced.
then. It started then. Yeah.
Did that make a difference in terms of the way they played you? Did you find?
I think after the helmets came into being, the batsmen became a little bit more confident. Yeah.
Too confident? Some people say it's made them take risks that they shouldn't be taking.
Well, more people get hit after the introduction of helmet than before the introduction of helmet.
For sure.
Yeah,
For
because
sure.
they used to have to keep their eyes on the ball. And that is what batting is all about, keeping your eyes on the ball.
You're in the country, sir, because you're looking to encourage people to come, hopefully, to watch the T20 World Cup next year.
Yes, that's what we're trying to do. And we're hoping that they would come to Antigua. Yeah, we're hoping that they would come to Antigua.
You're missing the cheers because Lewis McManus has just swung Rehan Ahmed for another huge 6 to take Northamptonshire past 450 and pick up the maximum batting bonus points, 450 runs.
So they'll declare now.
Well, not right now if they're going to declare, because they'll wait for the end of the over, but I think they might keep going, sir, to be quite honest.
Okay. Tell me, what ball are they using?
That is the Dukes
Oh,
in this
Dukes.
game.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And it is the second Dukes ball of the innings after 80 overs.
I see.
But it is disappearing to all parts of Grace Road at the moment as McManus works. Rehan Ahmed, England's Rehan Ahmed.
Oh, he's here?
That's him bowling. That's young Rehan.
England's Rehan, not...
Leicestershire and England's Rehan Ahmed, leg spinner.
Okay.
I don't know whether you've heard much about him or seen much about him, but he's the first England player that Leicestershire have produced for a little while.
Is he the one who got 5 wickets on debut?
Yes.
Okay. Still follow a little bit.
I do appreciate you having made your effort to come up the stairs, sir, because it's a fair old climb for you. I do appreciate
Yeah, it's
that.
a fair old climb and
But it shows how fit you are.
for the grave right now.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Do forgive us, but I thought you'd really enjoy hearing from Sir Andy there, former Leicestershire player, of course, and one of the great bowlers of cricketing history. To be quite honest, obviously for the West Indies in particular, as part of several great fast bowling groups, but took the liberty of doing that interview while Northamptonshire's chase, so I hope Northamptonshire's supporters will forgive us a little bit, but we don't often get the chance to speak to someone as great as that, and I can tell you that it has gone quite dark here. Roman Walker was listening with interest in the background, Liam Truscothic as well, because Vasquez, I've done it again there, but it definitely, he's going to come on and have a chat to us. Well, Roman, grab those as it goes dark, and the umpires are having a chat, but I don't know, it's just great to talk to cricketing royalties.
Unbelievable
from him.
Unbelievable, you know. Yeah, speechless really.
Interesting what he had to say about being time in the gym and or not necessarily in terms of being a fast bowler.
Yeah, well, you know, it's something that's not really new to me, speaking to the older generation of cricket. Even Philip de Freitas, you know, speaking to him, he sort of said all he used to do was run. Just run and run and run, and Steve Watkin.
Laps of the ground or whatever.
Yeah, anything. Shuttles, tempos, like you just stay fit. And I think, to be fair, if you look back at the fastest bowlers in the history of the game, they are slender and they're not big and strong. But unfortunately here we see our lads coming off the field with the two Northants batsmen for, I presume,
it's light,
a light delay.
It is dark. It really is gloomy here, and the floodlights, I think, probably have just about taken over. But Northamptonshire have had a heck of a morning, really, one way or another. They resumed on 337 for 6 off 96, and they're 453 for 7 off 110. So job very much done as far as the visitors are concerned. They have 5 batting bonus points, Leicestershire just the 2 bowling bonus points, and maybe they could have done with Sir Andy out there at times.
Absolutely. Well, I think 53 all out would have been Andy Roberts' goal, I reckon. He was some bowler, you know, and I think as a young lad growing up, them videos going back, watching the 4 West Indians bowling, I still do. I literally 2 days ago I'd watched Michael Holding bowl a spell, and always a video of Curtly Ambrose popping up on my YouTube channel, you know, and it's so good to go back and watch and just pay attention to the sort of little things that they do, the basics that they do so well.
He was, for me, I think Roberts was actually the scariest, because Holding was such a classical action, and he was successful, and the batters used to say, well, you could kind of see him coming. You might not be able to do much about it, but you could see the ball. But with someone like Roberts, perhaps, or Ambrose had his height, and sort of bounce and steepling bouncing was quicker than you thought. But Roberts, I always thought, was really mean as well, as a bowler.
You know, the countless interviews that have gone on in the past with that quad of West Indian bowlers, they all said that Andy Roberts was the best.
Yeah.
Every single one of them, they said he's the best. And talking about the pace variations, you know, it may not necessarily be a slower ball that he was bowling, but it would be a ball that's a couple of mile an hour slower. Like the bounces, for example, I was always taught from a young age, your first bouncer to a batsman, don't bowl it full pace. Because then if you bowl your second one, and it's quicker, then it'll beat them, and you've got half a chance of taking the wicket, you know, and they're the tactics that a lot of people sort of don't see in the game. And to be honest, sometimes you don't even think about it on the field. And it's, you know, looking back, they're just so clever, and how simple the game is for him. We were talking about red and white balls.
Just a ball.
It's
just
a ball.
Cricket ball. Yeah.
It's a ball, there's a batter, there's a stump. You know, and the game's the game. The game doesn't change much, just the intensity. And it's a very, very simple game, and I think it leads me to sort of doing the basics very well, and you'll get pretty far in the game. I mean, not everyone gets to the heights that Sir Andy Roberts did, but you can certainly give yourself the best chance by doing the basics.
I wonder what they'd have made of sort of T20 with a white ball and sort of...
I feel like they would have
how
enjoyed
they'd
it.
have adapted.
Yeah, I think they would have enjoyed it. But
it's
obviously,
like you said, variations in pace, they could do that.
Yes, yeah. And going back, there's obviously a big difference in the quality of pitches and grounds, and the quality of the ball as well. And like you said, you know, using a Reader's white ball potentially, or something like that with a bigger seam, it will give the bowlers a bit of a better chance. So I think they would have enjoyed it. But I'm well in the same boat as he is, really, with the longer format being number one. You know, that's just sort of love of the game more than anything. And of course, it's great watching T20 cricket when you get 2 good sides going against each other. It's amazing to watch, but I find T20 is a lot more hit and miss. and your raw talents come out in red ball cricket. The people who can score hundreds consistently over a season, you know, maybe score 400 or 500s in a season, they're your better batters.
The covers are coming on now, and the ground staff are beginning to hurry, suggesting there might be a little bit of rain in the wind. Liam nods and says he can see it in the scoreboard. It is beginning to spit a little bit, but it's kind of... I'm being optimistic. I'm saying it's kind of broken up. It isn't really, is it? There's sort of variations of grey out there, but
yeah.
it you know, there is a solid covering across the ground and where the weather is coming from. It's going to be a case of luck, I'm afraid, if we're going to get back out there, or when we're going to get back out there. What time is it? So it's 12:05. Might have an early lunch at 12:30, but I think they'll probably wait, the umpires. So we will be back with you as soon as there's play. We'll get Liam Travaskis on commentary then, but hopefully you enjoyed that. It was something a bit different this morning, doesn't it? And when you've got someone like Sir Andy Roberts around, then I think you have to take the opportunity to have a chat. But for now, from the Uptonsteel County Ground, obviously the pictures will stay on stream, and you won't miss any cricket. As soon as we're back out there, we'll be back with you.
cameo from McManus, 28 not out off just 15 balls with a 6 and 4 fours. I hope you very much enjoyed the conversation that Richard Ray was having with the legend that is Sir Andy Roberts. Great to see him up here, and great honour to have him on air with us. I know from the reaction on social media that a lot of you enjoyed that very much. I certainly did. And well, there's going to be a ceremony, I think, a little bit later on, where Sir Andy will receive his Leicestershire cap, so we'll have news of that a little bit later. For now, we're about to get underway. The rolling is going on at the moment. The heavy rollers out there. I'm Andrew Rad from BBC Radio Northampton. Delighted to welcome alongside me Liam Travaskis, now with Leicestershire, formerly with Durham, of course. And Liam, we were saying just off air, I think that declaration was probably what Northamptonshire had in mind at 450, but they probably got there a bit quicker than they expected.
Yeah, I think they did, and that short break there maybe not forced the hand, but would allow them to have a really good discussion around what they were hoping to be able to do. And it's going to be probably about a 30-minute session, 6 or 7 overs here for the Northants bowlers to try and make inroads to begin with.
So Northamptonshire this morning added 116 runs in 14 overs, which is going some. And as we said, I mean, Chris Tremaine went in there with licence, didn't he, and bludgeoned a quick 37 off 44. Lewis McManus, as we said, that little cameo at the end. And a word about George Bartlett. I'm sure you played against him, obviously, in Somerset colours, and difficult, as you will know, obviously moving counties, and you want to make a mark. He had a sort of slow start with Northamptonshire first couple of games, but basically underlined his class today, I think.
Yeah, it can happen getting a slow start with a new team, and he'd have been as hopeful as anyone to come in and make an instant impact. Obviously didn't quite get any significant scores in the first couple of games, but as you say, they're very impressive 100. Tremaine, I think, with his 37 there, really helped him in terms of just letting the pressure go off. Didn't really have to think too much about scoring, could just bat at his own pace, which is generally a good pace, as we've seen. So he'll be very happy with that, finishing 126 now, as we say, Northampton have declared. A little tricky spell before lunch.
Yes, that's right. A few of the Leicestershire bowlers, and we said I thought they had a good day yesterday, but there's one or two of the figures taking a little bit of a mauling this morning. The final figures, I know there's people who obviously like to keep their cards up to date at home. Matt Salisbury, 18 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 90. Tom Scriven, 24 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 114. Scott Curry, 26 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 102. Ben Green, 22 overs, 7 maidens, no wicket for 59. And Rahan Ahmed, 20 overs, 4 maidens, 2 for 64. There were 24 extras, 16 byes, 8 leg byes, and Northamptonshire 453 for 7 declared, so they pick up the maximum 5 batting points and 2 bowling points for Leicestershire. As Liam said, Leicestershire are going to have a nasty little half an hour or so here up to the lunch break. The umpires, Ben Debenham and Jack Shantry, making their way out to the middle. The lights are still on, it's still a bit murky. In fact, it doesn't look, to my untutored eye, Liam, an awful lot better than it was when they came off, but perhaps my eyes are getting old and dim. What do you reckon?
I think it has improved a little bit. There's been a reading taken from the standing umpires of Jack Shantry and Ben Debenham, so that'll have to have been significantly improved for them to go back out here. Expecting to see Ben Sanderson and Chris Tremaine with the new ball.
Yeah, I imagine so, and I would think they'd probably be quite keen to get George Scrimshaw involved as well fairly early on in his first-class debut for Northamptonshire, yesterday becoming Northamptonshire's 549th first-class cricketer, and one of the taller ones, it must be said. But it is going to be Ben Sanderson indeed, as predicted by Liam, who's going to start proceedings from this pavilion end. Ben Sanderson has a liking for Leicestershire. I think it's fair to say over the years he's taken 36 championship wickets against Leicestershire. He's taken more against Sussex and Derbyshire, but other than that, Leicestershire, one of his preferred opponents, closing in on 500 wickets in all formats for Northamptonshire. And if you think Liam, that he only came to Northamptonshire after a gap in his career, after leaving Yorkshire. He sort of basically missed 3 full seasons. It's interesting what he might have done otherwise. It's Rishi Patel facing the first ball of the innings from Sanderson and pushed nicely out into the covers for the first run. So Patel is underway, as are Leicestershire, with a single. 1 for no wicket.
Am I right in saying Sanderson will bring up his 100th first-class game for Northamptonshire shortly?
Next match, yeah, absolutely.
Next match.
This is his 99th, and well, it does work out quite nicely, assuming he plays in the next one. It will be at home at Wantage Road against Gloucestershire, starting on May the 10th, because Northamptonshire missed the next round of matches. So, yeah, that will be his 100th match, for first-class match for Northamptonshire. Now, the left-handed Marcus Harris, fresh from his double 100 against Derbyshire, facing his first ball from Sanderson round the wicket with 4 slips in place, and Harris pushing that out into the covers. Chris Tremaine to field, and there's no run. Tremaine in his final match for Northamptonshire in this little stint, having played first 3 games last season and 4 this year, before, as we were discussing earlier, the rules and the visa requirements mean that he can't play any longer than 4 matches. Here's Sanderson in, and that's a beauty. Just around about 4th, 5th stump, and leaving the left-handed Harris. Goes through to Lewis McManus. And Sanderson, in these conditions, you would think, Liam, could be a bit of a handful.
Yeah, I think he'd be excited to get the ball in his hand here. Duke's ball, under lights, fresh pitch. So I think it's what we're going to like to see from Ben Sanderson here, coming up the hill at Grace Road as he's in past the umpire.
And balls to Harris, hits him high up on the pad. Exclamation from behind the stumps rather than an appeal.
Just looking to use the seam here. I've had one nip away and beat the outside edge, and as I just watched the replay, that's just came back in and hit around the back thigh pad of Marcus Harris, who rehearses the shot.
Well, he has the advantage, Ben Sanderson, of not living too far away from Grace Road, so it's not a long journey for him in the morning from home. Here he is, running in away from us, round the wicket, bowls to Harris, who pushes forward, goes off the inner portion of the bat out into the onside. But there's no run. I think Roman was suggesting yesterday he might be... I think it was Rob Keogh actually was up yesterday saying he probably didn't have time to take the dogs out for a walk in the morning before he comes to the ground.
Yeah, something very different of living in the Midlands is quite a few of our lads last week, having played at Derby, are able to just go home.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go home for the night, which is something new for myself. As we see Sanderson turn at the end of his mark, in past the umpire.
And he bowls, and he's got him caught behind. Marcus Harris forced to play at that one. It took an outside edge. It went through low to Lewis McManus, who took the catch, and Harris has gone for a duck. Sanderson strikes, and Leicestershire are 1 for 1. You've had a chance to have a look at that, Liam.
Yeah, it's just moved away. Harris hasn't quite got out to the pitch of the ball, sort of just a little bit of a drive played there. It's just nipped away, like I was saying. It'll have been this pitch for Sanderson as he's looking to hit the seam.
Well, that's 497 wickets across all formats for Ben Sanderson. His 363rd first-class wicket for Northamptonshire. He's also got 53 List A and 81 T20s, which is where the statistic comes from. But just the start that Northamptonshire were hoping for, as Louis Kimber comes out to the crease at number 3. And that was the end of the over. The umpire's just having a little chat, maybe, just to see if they're happy with conditions, which I think they are at the moment. I think you might have to need a crowbar to prise Ben Sanderson off the field at the moment, but it is, as you heard, Louis Kimber coming to the crease. It's going to be Chris Tremaine to bowl from the far end, the Bennett end. And slip cordon shaping up with Karen Nair at first, Emilio Gay at second, Ricardo Vasconcelos at third, James Sales at fourth, then a backward point. Big gap through the covers. Fairly straight extra cover, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a long leg as Tremaine prepares to come in and bowl, which Liam will describe.
You see there, Tremaine in, just past the umpire. Balls to Patel, who's forward defending, just on a good length, hitting the stickers.
Just while Tremaine walks back to his mark, we'll just start and run through the scores in the other matches, bring you up to date with what's happening right across the county championship. Durham all out yesterday for 358 up at Riverside, where I gather it's a bit chilly this morning. Essex 79 for 1 in reply, with Sam Cook, who was night watchman opener last night, the man out.
See Tremaine in again here to Patel, who leaves alone around the 5th stump. Goes through to McManus behind the stumps there.
Yep, sorry Liam. Dean Elgar 43 not out. Hampshire 151 all out yesterday. Surrey in reply at the Oval are 194 for 6. Rory Burns, who opened yesterday, still in 80 not out.
That's a game that's moving forward there.
Certainly is. So we've already had, well, coming up to the end of the second innings. Go through the rest of those in a moment.
You've got Tremaine again. In and balls to Patel. Once again defending into the offside as Proctor runs around from a short mid-off to retrieve that.
At Edgbaston, Nottinghamshire 400 all out against Warwickshire, with Ben Duckett eventually out for 218, but not much else this morning. That innings was rather folded. They were 328 for 4 to 400 all out. 5 for there for Ollie Allen Dolby.
Tremaine in again here. Balls to Patel, similar to the first ball. Patel just on the move there on the defensive shot, but solidly behind it.
No play so far today at Kidderminster, where Worcestershire 14 for no wicket in reply to Somerset's 309 for 9 declared. Middlesex 203 all out down at Bristol. Gloucestershire 82 for 3 in reply, but it's raining there. And Yorkshire 390 for 3 against Derbyshire at Headingley. More on that in a moment.
Tremaine again. A little bit shorter length there. Rishi Patel playing that off the back foot into the offside again, no run.
Joe Root is 111 not out. Harry Brook 107 not out. Brook 107 off 108 balls, 16 fours. They've put on 185 for the 4th wicket so far. So a bit of a treat for the punters at Headingley this morning. Surprising amount of cricket actually being played, considering the weather conditions.
I think it's just cold. Can't get cold it off. He's got Tremaine in again. Patel just tries to force that through the offside, and it's like inside half of the bat, rolls up to mid-off with Tremaine finishing his first over as a maiden. Score remains 1 for 1.
I think I'm right in saying, Liam, that years ago, and I think we're looking at about 1981, they did come off for cold at Fenners very early, again April, very early in the season.
London.
Yeah, Cambridge University were playing Essex, and it was so cold that the umpires took them off, and it did snow during that match.
That sounds like a few years ago. I played you might have been there, pre-season game against Northampton, and they were brushing ice and snow off of the covers before we could play. Everyone was allowed to wear fielding gloves if they wanted them, and
yes, I do remember.
I had one hit rather hard at me at short extra cover and didn't feel my hand till the week after as Sanderson starts to now over here to Kimber.
I do remember that. Sanderson in bowls to Kimber, who plays it out to point. Save fields, and there's no run. Still 4 slips in. Yes, I do remember that. I think it might have been the year that that there was snow on the ground at photo call day at pre-season. And it's always wonderful when you do the pre-season photo call, when the days when they used to do it outside. And it's freezing cold, because then the pictures that are used in the papers in August, when it's cracking the flags, you've got people with about three sweaters on, looking like the Michelin Man. Here's Sanderson running away from us and bowls to Louis Kimber, who's forward and plays it up towards mid-on. Doesn't get that far. Bartlett, who must be feeling on top of the world after that innings of his. 126 not out, comes in from mid-wicket to field, and there's no run. But yes, that Essex game, and I remember that year, 81. We did have snow.
I'm glad you do.
Well, we did. I remember sadly a lot further back than that, Liam. But we'll go back to 81 in a second. The Sanderson is in, bowls to Kimber, who beats him with a jaffer. Absolute jaffer from Ben Sanderson. Beat the outside edge.
Really kissing the pitch here, Sanderson. It's flying through to.
It's tailor-made for him.
McManus at the behind the stumps there. That's really taken off. We definitely saw that on occasion from the Leicestershire bowlers, especially with when the ball was hard, really gathering pace as it hit the pitch.
Well, as I say, Sanderson with a new Duke's ball in his hand. There aren't too many better around the circuit. He's running in again to bowl to Louis Kimber, who drives pleasantly and well stopped by Luke Proctor, who's probably now wishing that he hadn't.
That was tackled. That wasn't stopped. Tackled it mid-off. He's done very, very well there. It's come hard. Get his feet set and stop that ball running under him. I just think as captain there, you've got to put it on the line, definitely.
The old pro. Sanderson turns down below us at this pavilion end and runs in the bowl again to Louis Kimber, who drives up to mid-on, fielded there by Tremaine, and there's no run. Yes, 81 we had late snow. It was a white Easter that year. And I went to watch Northamptonshire play Cambridge University at Fenners, the second match, after the one that was so cold that they had to come off. And it wasn't I sat there for 3 days, and it wasn't a great deal warmer, I can reveal. But I could handle it in those days. I'm not sure I would now. Here's Sanderson in again to bowl to Kimber outside the off stump. It was a good leave, and again it just shaped back in after it had passed the bat and was taken by Lewis McManus, I think around the line of leg stump, maybe in a touch outside. It was outside the leg stump.
He's left that on length there, I think, from Kimber, trusting the pitch. It's just run back in on the angle from Sanderson there. There's another maiden overs completed by Northamptonshire, 20 minutes before the lunch interval. 2
overs, 1 for 1, Ben Sanderson, and Leicestershire are still 1 for 1, 3 overs gone, and yeah, we've got 20 minutes to go till lunch, so probably another 5 overs. Nasty little session. And Tremaine bowling a short ball there, which Patel was aiming to pull, and it just came down off a bottom edge out into the offside, and there's no run.
Really tried to lay into it there, Patel.
He did.
He's looking for that shorter delivery we saw last over. He's tried to force one through the offside that's just nipped back in, and he's gone a slightly different way there and trying to go leg side with that, putting Tremaine's length under pressure as he's back in from past the umpire, and it's defended on the front foot this time. No dramas there from from Patel, sorry.
Yeah, George Bartlett's 100. I mentioned this to Roman, Liam. I mean, you've obviously had a similar experience having moved counties, and I can imagine it's quite a difficult thing, and you must be so keen to make your mark early on. I'll let you describe this ball and perhaps then have a thought or two about that.
Yeah, as we see Tremaine into Patel here. That's the first ball that Tremaine's just dragged his length back slightly and got the ball to nip away from Patel, just avoiding the outside edge. Very nice ball. Drawing him into play, Tremaine coming nice and tight to the umpire there, making it feel like you have to play every ball. Yeah, Andrew, so yeah, moving club, like you say, you obviously make that decision and you want it to go positively. And as I said earlier, George will be very happy now. He's been able to showcase what he's got, not only to the people around him, but also to himself. Definitely see Tremaine into Patel again. Slightly short of a length and outside the off stump, left alone. Yeah,
Northamptonshire in the happy position, I suppose, of having a few options, which last year wasn't the case, emphatically wasn't the case. But say George Bartlett missing the second game through injury, having played down at Hove. James Sales came in fairly late on and made his maiden 100 against Middlesex. So
yeah, Sales turning more of a looking into the batting mode that he's able to bowl as the fourth seamer possibly, as Tremaine's into Patel, who drives off the inside half to mid-on, fielded by George Scrimshaw there, but Patel gets home at the non-striker's end.
Yeah, I think you're right, and it's a shame in a sense, because when James Sales gets it right with the ball, he picked up 4 against Notts last year, career best figures, and bowled very well. But he hasn't bowled a great deal, and I think they do see him more as a sort of batting all-rounder, as you say.
I think definitely
handy fourth seamer.
As a younger player, then giving him opportunity in one facet, hopefully will allow him to have a bit of time to develop and grow, get stronger, and be able to fulfil a heavier bowling load possibly, as Tremaine is in and past the umpire. Kimber drives, half stop at mid-off by Proctor, and it's just a single there, saving I think 3 runs there. We've seen the outfield quicken up, especially from the last game we played here. It's definitely sped up a little bit, so I think Proctor saved 3 runs for his team there, as that brings the 4th over to an end. 3 for 1's the score.
Well, I hope you're right, Liam, because the tomorrow, if the weather forecast is right of what we're supposed to get overnight tonight and first thing tomorrow, then we're going to need the outfield to drain pretty well, because I think the forecast is not hugely encouraging. Mind you, it wasn't hugely encouraging today, and we've managed to avoid pretty much all of the rain. We just had obviously that brief stoppage for bad light. Here's Sanderson starting his 3rd over, and Louis Kimber's playing that defensively out into the offside. Zabe comes in from backward point to retrieve. Still 4 slips in place for Ben Sanderson, who so far this season has been, well, he's been tidy, as you would expect, even with the Kookaburra, but he couldn't wait, I think it's fair to say.
I think that's every seam bowler in the country, as Sanderson turns at the end of his mark. And
he's in and bowls to Louis Kimber, who's defensively forward and fielded by Sanderson off his own bowling, and there's no run. Yeah, he's taken, coming into this match, 8 wickets at 32. Got a 5 for in the last game against Glamorgan. First time he had to bowl with the Duke's ball, to the surprise of absolutely nobody. He nipped in for a little 5-fer.
Yeah, saw there, then put him in a position to possibly win the game. A little bit of weather around in that week, I remember.
Well, both Northamptonshire and Leicestershire, I think, would feel that they would have probably won, given a full 4 days in the last round. Here's Sanderson in again, clipped away by Kimber. Runs for him here as it goes out towards the boundary at mid-wicket. It's a long chase out there for George Bartlett. They've come through for a couple, and they'll settle for 2. So Louis Kimber goes to 3, and Leicestershire to 5 for 1. I have to say, Liam, I never fail to admire English cricket supporters, county cricket supporters, who have turned out, there aren't that many of them, but there are a few scattered around the ground, in absolutely perishing conditions. As Sanderson is in again, bowls to Kimber, pushes forward, just a little bit of a hint of an inside edge as it runs out past mid-wicket, and they come through for a single. 1 more to Kimber, he goes to 4. And Leicestershire to 6 for 1. Kimber just rehearses the stroke at the non-striker's end. There's a few sitting in the yellow seats over on the scoreboard side of the ground.
All I can say, Andrew, is I hope they've got thermals on. Because we've got a heater in this room and I'm still too cold.
Well, I have to say, I was so delighted to see the heater in here yesterday that I even posted a picture of it on social media, which is probably a first. Sanderson in bowls to Patel, who's playing it out into the onside for Bartlett to field at mid-wicket, and there's no run, because having just done 2 matches, back-to-back matches at Wantage Road, where our commentary box does not have the luxury of heating. It does have a gas heater in there, but I think they disconnected that about 1965. So it's just really an ornament now in the commentary box, and it's been absolutely freezing for the last
And I'm glad we've got one in here then.
Oh, I tell you, it's luxury in here. Sanderson in bowls to Patel, who just opens the face, runs it down to Zabert, back of a point. And that's the end of the over. 2 to Patel, 4 to Kimber, and Leicestershire are 6 for 1. Sanderson 3 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 4. We
just
have
noticing there, Andrew, the last couple of balls from Sanderson, slightly changing tactics, tried to swing those 2, and it has looked to move through the air. So maybe he might be going for a slightly different ploy for a couple of overs before lunch, I think. Just see if you can get anything different from it. He'll have a second bite of it after.
It's just sussing out the ground, really, isn't it? And just getting a feel for
things, isn't it? Got Tremaine in here to Kimber, who's defending on the back foot out into the point region, fielded by Safe Zabe there.
Off for rain at Edgbaston, where Warwickshire 17 for 1 in reply to Nottinghamshire's 400 all out, but rain has stopped play there, and also off at Kidderminster. So yeah, West Midlands is, and indeed Bristol is, they're all off at the moment. So Richard points in the direction of where the rain's coming from. Well, we'll
Alex Davies missing out probably for the first time this season, really, as Tremane's in again to Kimber, who drives, gets a good piece of it into the cover region. Proctor in hot pursuit, but won't make it there as that crosses the rope for the first boundary of the Kimber's innings and the first boundary of the Leicestershire innings, as the score moves to 10 for 1.
Yeah, that's well, it's interesting, isn't it? We've seen this round. Say Alex Davis had a terrific start to the season, missing out. Joe Clark, who's had a terrific start to the season, getting a duck in that Nottinghamshire total of 400. Mother cricket.
Tremaine in again here. Defended by Kimber. Just onto the inside half. Tremaine going for a slightly different approach to what Sanderson has just changed to, trying to hit the seam more than swing the ball at the moment.
It was interesting when we obviously had the great pleasure and privilege of having Sir Andy Roberts with us, and we're talking about his last game for Leicestershire being against Northamptonshire back in 1984, and yes, I was covering that game, but you were looking down the Northamptonshire side and saw a couple of familiar names. We'll come on to that after this ball.
So there Kimber drives again, half stops at mid-off, and he saved 4 runs for sure there. Luke Proctor, he's had a lot to do.
He's having a bit to do, isn't he? But yeah, he saw Alan Walker in the Northamptonshire side, who obviously you'd have worked with at Durham.
Yeah, I'll just text him.
We've
got Neil Mallander there, Ghost.
Yeah, Ghosty. And Jeff Cook,
and
of
then
course.
Jeff Cook, who was a big part of my early career in getting me to Durham and giving me an opportunity when I was quite a bit younger than I am now. As we've got Tremaine in again. Defended up to mid-off by Kimber.
Great man of cricket, Jeff Cook. He was captain when I started covering Northamptonshire 30 odd years ago, and you couldn't have a better man to work with. And I know obviously the work he did up at Durham. Steve Harmison said that they should call the Riverside ground after Jeff, because I
think he's got a suite at the moment.
He has,
and there's Paul Collingwood's got a pavilion up there, so maybe the ground could be renamed as Tremaine's into Kimber, who defends thickish outside edge down to third man. In hot pursuit is Safe Zabe and James Sales, as they come back for a third, and that will bring the over to an end, of score moving to 13 for 1. 8 minutes to go until the lunch interval. Expecting to see probably another 3 overs here.
Yes, I think that's going to be about right, isn't it? 13 for 1 it is. It's still a bit gloomy, but we're okay at the moment, and it's going to be Ben Sanderson to continue.
I think the only bit of bright cloud in the sky is above Grace Road at the moment.
Yes.
Everything around seems to be a little bit darker.
First day of the Northamptonshire League season today. Just looking to see how my lot are getting on. Here's Sanderson in bowls on leg stump and clipped away nicely by Kimber. That's running out towards the boundary. It's just about going to go, I think. Little teaser There's a long chase out there for George Bartlett, but it goes over the rope, and it's 4 to Louis Kimber. He goes to 15, 17 for 1, nicely timed, to pretty much the longest boundary on the ground, with the pitch being over this side, I think, pretty much the longest, over towards the meet, where the people are ensconced behind glass, which is a very, very sensible move for watching cricket on a day like this. Here's Sanderson in again, bowls to Kimber, plays that up to mid-on, where Tremaine fields, and there's no run. Floodlights have been on for a while, and I rather suspect they will be on for the rest of the day. 150 quid an hour? I don't know what the ones here cost that much. John Philby, the Sussex chair, was telling us on BBC commentary during the first round of matches that's what it costs down at Hove.
They've decided against them, haven't they?
They have.
Got Sanderson into Kimber there, outside the off stump, and let go.
Yes,
Man's taking that up around his shoulders. Some good carry still being seen here.
There is. They've decided not to use them, but both Leicestershire and Northamptonshire have decided that they will. But it
could have cost them a game, I think, down in.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this was
down in Brighton there.
They lost 20 at the last 20 overs when Northamptonshire were basically 60 ahead and 9 wickets down. So, yeah, Sanderson running in away from us and bowls to Kimber, who plays it out onto the onside, out to Bartlett at mid-wicket, and there's no run. Yeah, I mean, if they'd have, there was heavy rain, but the heavy rain only started after the match had been abandoned. So, yeah, I think it's you can make quite a compelling case for saying that it did cost Sussex victory in that match. Although Lewis McManus and Chris Tremaine, who were still in, will probably tell you otherwise. But pay your money and take your choice. Here's Sanderson, and again bowls. An attempted drive by Kimber misses outside the off stump. Goes through into the gloves of Lewis McManus. Northamptonshire would dearly love another wicket before lunch. They've had a very good morning session, as I say, adding 116 in 14 overs.
He's really thrown that one up there, watching on the replay. Looking to swing that one away, having ran the one back in the ball before. Looking to get a drive and an edge. Sanderson in again.
Bowls to Louis Kimber, who's playing that defensively back down the pitch, fielded by Sanderson, and Chris Tremaine already peeling his sweater off. Northamptonshire want to try and get as many overs in as they can, of course, before lunch. 17 for 1 it is, 15 to Kimber, 2 to Patel. If you're just joining us, Northamptonshire declaring at 453 for 7, and they came off for bad light. George Bartlett 126 not out. Chris Tremaine a quick 37. Lewis McManus an even quicker 28 not out off 15 balls. And then at the start of their reply, Leicestershire losing Marcus Harris, caught behind off Ben Sanderson for naught, with 1 run on the board.
Got Tremaine in here to Rishi Patel. Slightly back of a length outside the off stump, just let go.
Yes, I do remember that that match we were talking about there. Sir Andy's last game for Leicestershire at Wantage Road, quarter-final, and won for Northamptonshire by Robin Boyd Moss with his unbeaten 88. Played very, very well in that game. A couple of decent teams there, though.
Yeah, some names on those scorecards we've just got in front of us as Tremaine turns at the end of his mark. Defended by Patel into the offside. No run again.
Well, for Northamptonshire, the old firm of Cook and Larkins at the top of the order, who of course both went to Durham. Jeff at the end of the 1990 season went up there to sort of help the transition into first class cricket, and Wayne Larkins going up there around the same time to be there for the start of Durham's first class cricket in '92.
Tremaine in again here to Patel. That is a very tight leave by Patel. That's just nipped back in and probably gone over the top of 4th stump, I think. I'm just watching the replay here.
Well, Chris Tremaine's auditioning for RADA, I think, judging by that. It was the sort of agony, ecstasy that you would expect from somebody rehearsing Hamlet.
Feels like he's nearly executed what he was trying to set up there. He's nipped most of them away from Patel on a 4th, 5th stump line. Come tight to the crease like he does, and that's swung back in and bounced just over the top of 4th stump. Good skills there from Tremaine as he's in again to Patel. That's defended into the offside, slightly short of a length there.
I think Northamptonshire realised that they got somebody that they liked the look of last year when I think it was his first game actually down at Canterbury. He's having trouble with his toenail, which obviously can happen with quick bowlers, and I think he basically just sort of ripped it off and carried on, and they thought he'll do. Huge, great trier, and wanted to play county cricket for years. He was saying.
Tremaine in again there, is defended by Patel on a slightly straighter line.
In fact, he was saying, and those of us with a passion for county cricket found it rather pleasing that he was saying out in Australia, as a 16-year-old, his coach and his club side was saying, you can't regard yourself as a fully rounded cricketer until you've played county cricket in England. Had a stint playing, so it was something he wanted to do for a long time.
A very different challenge, having spent some time with Australians in the dressing room talking about the county circuit and how much time you. So here's Tremaine's in. I'll finish that in a second. Having 4 days on, 3 days off really is a big thing.
And that is lunch, gentlemen and ladies. 17 for 1 it is then at lunch, and well, Leicestershire losing the big wicket of Marcus Harris, but Patel and Kimber doing a good job to see out that nasty little session. The cover's immediately coming on, not necessarily because it's raining, I think it's just as a precaution. But there is clearly a bit of rain around. It is very overcast, it's murky and it's cold, but we've known that for a while. So 17 for 1 it is at lunch. We've had 8 overs. Play will resume in round about 40 minutes time. So we're going to have the ceremony, I think, at lunchtime to 1:30 it's going to be at the back end of the lunch break to make the presentation to Andy Roberts. So you'll be able to share in that, but for now, from Liam and myself and Richard and Roman, enjoy your lunch, we shall enjoy ours, and we'll be back with you in around about half an hour's time.